Yep, helps if I unmute myself. Hello and welcome to the movie Battleground. I'm your host tonight, Kevin, the Philosopher Poss, coming at you with a matchup between Ryan, the Caramel Mountain Payne, and Joshua Diggins. So tonight we have Joshua, who is coming off his first win in his last match. He's lost by KO and won by KO. And then we have Ryan, who is 2-2. Ryan also is coming off the back of a win, so we have a pair of players both coming off of wins. Let's see who can topple the other. We're going to start tonight. I'm going to introduce you to 1-1 with one knockout win. He is Joshua Diggins.
How y'all doing today?
How's it going, man?
Not too much. You could also call me the Midnight Asgardian. That might be.
Nice.
I like that. It might be my
Well,
my ring name. Yeah.
I like to do it. So as far as winning and losing by KO, you kind of have the experience, and then in preparation for this match, how do you bring that experience to the table?
You just take it one question at a time, and honestly, just try to listen actively as best as possible. I'm not going to give all secrets away, but sometimes you can listen for certain cues, or there may be something in a person's argument where you could possibly counter argue. But I try to listen very well for details, make sure that I have everything retained, and then I just like to attack, and I will fight as passionately and as creatively as possible. Tis me.
All right, man. Sounds good. We will drop you to the back and talk to your opponent for a moment. Thank you very much. Good luck. His opponent is 2-2, and another win tonight would give him a positive record. Excuse me, for the first time since returning to the battleground. He is Ryan, Caramel Mountain Payne. What's up, brother?
All right, what's going on? It's been a while since we've been across the screen from each other.
It is. Yes, you are correct. So how you been, man?
Uh, Honestly, I never know how I'm going to be during the day. But I am going. But being here in this, with being back in Battleground with debating again, it's definitely got me back on my toes. Especially with given my record and the matches I've had, I definitely know where I need to improve on. But every match is kind of like brand new to me. I try to relearn from my mistakes, but doesn't mean I still won't make them.
Sure, yeah. That's how you learn is from mistakes. So, how keen are you on the positive record thing since returning? Is that something you're going gunning after, or are you just looking for your next win?
I mean, I would honestly love to have a positive record here. So far being back, I've always been like on the back end of when it comes to my records. Like I'm always climbing up from behind. So I would love to have the opportunity to end today with a positive record being 3-2. If not, I'll be 2-3. I mean, I never thought I'd be 500 when it comes to debating. I honestly thought I'd be in the. I thought I'd be 0-3 or 1-3 or 1-4.
I hear you there, bro. All right, so I appreciate it, and we are going to get into this match. I'm going to run you guys through some rules. Let's bring Joshua back in, and let's go through the rules. So this is how this works. It's a best of 5 rounds. First player to 3 points wins the match. Each round of debate is worth 1 point. If one competitor earns the first 3 points in a row, that victory is by KO. If it is a 2-2 draw at the end of 4 rounds, we will go to the tiebreaker blind round. We will do. Let's see. Sorry, I think I have one more here. There it is. So we have one through four, where you'll have a 60-second opening argument, a 2 minute solo pitch, a 4 minute open debate where you guys will go at each other, and then a 60-second closing argument where you wrap it all up. And then again, after stage 4 is complete, I have two awesome judges in the back, Nick Hernandez and Carrie Webb, who are going to assist me in judging for the night. So let me drop myself to the back and give you your first prompt if you guys are ready to go.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Go for it.
Good luck, as I said before. And let me pull up question number 1. So, question number 1 tonight, guys, comes in the realm of Oscars. So, which Oscar film or which Oscar win by a film released in 2020 do you disagree with? Which Oscar film or which Oscar win by a film released in 2020 do you disagree with? And let's see. Looks like Ryan, you're supposed to go first on question
Yes.
number 1. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I chose to go first on questions 1 and 3.
1 and 3. Gotcha. All right. So Ryan, you will go first. Take it away when you are prepared. Let me get these. You'll see the timer in the top right. It'll go as soon as you start talking.
My choice for the Oscar win I disagreed with, honestly, for me, it's the Best Actress win by from Frances McDormand for her Oscar win in Nomadland. Now, looking at this one mainly falls down to the contenders and nominees that she went up against. And while her performance in Nomadland is not less or it's undeserving, just it kind of falls down to it feels to me she's kind of like the fourth or third deserving for this Oscar because there are at least three other women in this category I would have selected over Frances McDormand for this Oscar win. And this is not against her winning multiple Oscars before, but but from the two Oscar wins she had in the past, this one is not honestly the most memorable or strongest, but it's all subjective at that point. But it's just more of like when you compare her performance to the other four that's on there: Viola Davis, Andrea Day, Vanessa Kirby, and Carey Mulligan. You do, and if you've seen all of the films that all these ladies were in, you do start to see that Frances's performance is a little weaker compared to all of them. And I'm going to end my time.
All right, time. And if the clock hangs up, it's probably because my computer's running slow.
I thought I was freezing. That's why I sighed.
Yeah, I think it's me, but yeah, okay. All right, I'll give you that extra 5 seconds when you start, Josh. Go ahead and start when you are ready, Joshua.
All right. Oscars 2020. Who did I disagree with? Yeah, there were a lot of wins that I supported, including Frances McDormand's win, but we'll get into that later on. I chose Mank winning for best cinematography. Now, I don't have an issue with films being black and white. I don't have a problem with that at all. Actually, I love black and white movies. But I just think that there were better movies that year as far as cinematography goes. Say Nomadland, for example, being able to capture the American West and see the different landscapes that you will pretty much stumble across as you're traveling as a nomad, essentially. Or even in Judas and the Black Messiah, just getting into that nitty grittiness of Chicago during that time in the 70s with the Black Panthers. And every shot in those movies had a legit purpose. They just told a story. They captured you. They captivated me, truly. Nomadland and like I said, Judas and the Black Messiah, especially. I was debating with somebody a while back before talking about Judas and the Black Messiah. Like, I don't think this movie's that great. I said, you're wrong. The cinematography alone raises the bar for that movie, as does Nomadland. So I will end my time there. I believe that Mank did not deserve the win. It should have gone to either of those two.
Okay. Good start to both arguments. We'll do a 2-minute debate. Sorry, I'm trying to
I
get
thought
the timer.
was it
Solo
pitch
pitch.
or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this timer. So with round number 1 wrapped up, we are going to move to our 2-minute round. and we'll go back to Ryan. And whenever you start talking, your 2 minutes will begin.
As I stated before, the thing with Frances McDormand's win is that when you compare her Oscar, when you look at her before, if you've seen any of the four films that were up in contention along Frances McDormand, for Viola Davis, when she played Ma Rainey in Ma Rainey's Black Bomb, she is without doubt a strong performance in that film. She honestly is someone that you cannot ignore in that film. The same goes for Andrea Day playing the lead character Billie Holiday in the U.S. versus Billie Holiday, and further on for the other film leads like Vanessa Kirby in Pieces of a Woman and Carey Mulligan in Promising Young Woman. Frances McDormand, even though she is someone who you follow throughout the film, unfortunately, you don't really feel where her performance is going until maybe when you're like a third or halfway into the film. But compared when you see Promising Young Woman, you get an idea of what Carey Mulligan is doing right off the bat. The same when it goes with Vanessa Kirby. Like, not going to spoil the film, but the moment you are at least 20 minutes into Pieces of a Woman, you see where the performance is heading. Frances McDormand, as much as I enjoy Nomadland for what it's done, including its cinematography, Frances McDormand's performance is not the strongest part of the film. So when she won the nomination, it just kind of felt to me that this was just the Oscar giving Frances another Oscar to add on to her collective wins. While I believe that Viola Davis or Carey Mulligan could definitely deserve that Oscar more than her. Now, when it comes down to what she did in Nomadland, yes, I understand where her character is coming from. She lost everything due to the recession, so she's choosing to live on her own, not dependent on anything and anyone. And you do see the ups and downs of that struggle. And in a way, it kind of relates to most Americans today. But honestly, the performance just wasn't strong enough to be that convincing for the Oscar win. I'm just going to stop because I got 3 seconds left.
All right, that wraps that up. We'll reset the clock for 2 minutes. Joshua, whenever you start, your time will begin.
All right. Well, I won't be before you long, but I will say that, like I said before about Mank, I going through the pictures, the cinematography is great. Whoever the principal director was, director of photography, did a phenomenal job capturing that time period, which I respect. It's beautiful. But I just think that Nomadland captures a lot more. Judas and the Black Messiah just captures so much more, like especially in Black Messiah, because the sheer grittiness of Chicago in the 70s. Black Panther Party is just, kind of having this political takeover, trying to better their communities, essentially. And just the way that it's all captured, just the way that everything looks, you could tell that this was an area that was not well taken care of, that people are really struggling to survive in these neighborhoods during this time. And I think that the cinematography of Judas and the Black Messiah captured that perfectly. With Nomadland, what you got to really see within that cinematography, like I said, those landscapes, that piece, you got to understand as it was used as a tool to not only further the movie and the story, but thematically, that piece that which Frances McDormand's character is what she was looking for. And within that time period of her being out and traveling and just going across that southwest of America and seeing those different landscapes, it was bringing her peace as we went throughout the movie, getting her closer to what she needed to fully understand about herself. So I think that it should have went to either one of those two movies. I just don't think that it should have gone to Mank as such. So I end my time there.
All right, sounds good. We will let me reset the clock. Okay, gotcha. And we'll do 5 minutes, or four, I'm sorry, 4 minutes for uh, your open argument. That will be, oops, sorry. There we go. 4 minutes for your opening argument. So you both may talk at the same time, but try not to talk over each other. Give each other some space. I won't jump in unless necessary, but I don't think it'll be necessary. So have a good debate, and 4 minutes starting when the first person speaks.
So what I don't understand is, well, let me not say what I don't understand. I believe Frances McDormand definitely was deserving in comparison to her other performances and compared to the other performers on the list. Now, I think that the Oscars have swing years where, depending on like the type of performances that they seem to cater more towards in particular years. That in Nomadland, she's much more subtle compared to Fargo or Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. She's a lot more subtle. It's a quieter performance, which speaks to her range of acting. And I think that with some of the others names on the list, while they were strong performances, I just think that year that the Oscars may not have been looking at the theatrical or the grandness of it. It's more the subtlety, if anything.
You're definitely not wrong that Francis definitely had a quiet performance, and it worked with the backdrop of what the film was saying. But the quiet performance, I would say, Carrie Mulligan's performances, her quiet moments in Promising Young Woman, really, I won't say clash, but it was kind of like a chaotic good of a mess in that film. The moments where you see her character, the quietness when she's staring down at men judging her, or people, like looking down at her for just for being a woman. Her, and especially when you look at her character's background and the backstory of losing a friend, you do see that there is something bubbling within inside Carrie Mulligan. She gives off of a look. Not to say that Francis could not do the same thing there. I mean, I got more of the quieter moments from Francis in Three Billboards, especially with her character's struggle, trying to get trying to raise awareness, trying to seek justice over someone whose life has fallen apart and is trying to find peace, which is something I could also find out of Vanessa Kirby's character in Pieces of a Woman, who lost her child in childbirth, and she's trying to pick herself back together, but she just can't. It's those performances I found that felt was much not just stronger, but actually added more elevation to the film compared to what Francis did. And you did mention earlier on about the cinematography of Nomadland, to where the cinematography I felt shined much brighter over her performance than having to carry her or work with her to elevate the film.
I see, but I wouldn't say that it would. I don't think it carried. I think that they worked very much in tandem due to that subtle, quiet nature from what both are really trying to get. Like the conversation that she has with, we'll just say the village headmaster or whatever, right? The guy, the bearded guy. And when she's talking to him and he's pretty much taking her through this therapeutic lesson on why she needs to be able to move forward and let go and just find that freeness. It's what everything in that movie encapsulates. You have to freeing yourself of those chains that are holding you back, or those things that are holding you from being able to advance in your life. And
I think
I just think it was brilliant in how she was able to do it.
I can almost take some of the little lessons there when it comes to cinematography and knowing to add it to Mank on why it won. I mean, it's about the black and white era of the 50s of Hollywood, but you can do see of the rush and the chaoticness of what Hollywood is. As much being a writer during the time being blacklisted, you can almost see where the character himself is trying to find peace, and how the cinematography is just taking you through one chaotic mess from his mind to the chaoticness of Hollywood, to just pretty much how he's trying to rush and type in scripts over and over and over and over again, to where you find when you get near the end, whether you like where it ends or not, you do see that this is something that the character Gary Oldman plays as someone who has found his own peace. And it's something that took you in immediately. Like I mentioned, like I've said, Francis, earlier on, you would not have known until maybe halfway in where her mindset was going to be at. Oh, damn, I talked too much again.
No, you guys are good. All right, that is the time though. Great round and good job by both players. We are going to move into. Oh, I went back too far. We are going to go into our final round, which is the 60-second closing round. Let me just get 60 seconds on the clock here. All right. So with 60 seconds on the clock, Ryan, you will begin, and the time will begin when you start talking.
Now, I do wanted to state earlier on, it's not. It was just her performance and her win that I disagreed with. Not saying that she was not undeserving, as I mentioned before. It's just that her performance, her win, just felt as if that Oscar could have gone to actresses that just didn't need it, but they showed through performances why the movies were so memorable. Amon Ray's Black Bond was memorable not only for Chadwick Boseman, who was nominated, but for Viola Davis, who played that character. And Viola has shown throughout her career that when she is on screen, rather if it's a small role or not, she is definitely a commanding performance. Vanessa Kirby and Carey Mulligan was definitely had their breakout performances in both of their films. And Frances McDormand, I'm not saying that her win was just a congratulatory piece from the Oscars. It's just that given the films that she has been a part of throughout her career, Nomadland felt more of like, here's the Oscar once again, kind of like when they gave Al Pacino 1% of a Woman, or for what they did for Martin Scorsese when he finally won one. You know, it's kind of like,
Time.
damn it.
All right.
One of these days, I miss the old format where we had those extensions.
I do remember those days. All right, so we'll go to Joshua, and this will be the last 60-second closing of this round. So whenever you start talking, Joshua.
All right. See, here's what I say. I think with Mank, I respect what was done. I respect capturing the chaos of Hollywood, but I also think that at the same time, I think Oscars do have their swing years where they might lean more towards a more theatrical performance. For example, like this past year, you had Brendan Fraser take on The Whale, which was much more subtle, and I thought it should have went to Austin Butler, honestly, but like I said, I think the Oscars have those years where it's like they just swing and you never really know which way they're going to go. And I think that was part of the reason for Frances's win. And I think that they appreciated the fact that she was able to go so subtle, so quiet with her performance, which is why she won. And I just think that Mank, I was surprised that Nomadland didn't also get the win for cinematography because it also reflected off of Frances's performance the entire way through. And Chloe Zhao was able to encapsulate all of that and present a film that is an absolute masterpiece. Time.
All right, great job on the spot. So we'll drop you both to the back, and then I'll bring in my judges. So we have Carrie and Nick, and I found a good friend, Chad Webb. So he will be our third judge for tonight. I will not be the judge. I'm going to pull that out, Nick, so it's not all covering your face there.
All right.
All right.
You can have me. Fine.
All right. So we will start first with Carrie. Who won this round for you?
Sorry, I have to unmute
That's
my mic.
That's okay.
This is really close for me. I ultimately went with Ryan. Honestly, just by a hair, though. I thought both competitors had really great arguments. I think I just heard a little bit more from Ryan about, the other performances and why they were so deserving, and kind of a little bit more defense of why Mink was the right choice for cinematography.
Okay. Nick, how about you? Who do you have in this first question?
Tough question, tough match. They went back and forth. It ultimately went down to the closing for me. I decided to go Joshua. I think his counter to why they did give the Oscar to Frances McDormand for No Man Land held a little bit more for me, and there just wasn't enough of a counter, I think, for Ryan to take down as to why Meg deserved to get the win. So that's why I went with Josh.
Okay, so one vote for each Ryan and Joshua apiece. Chad, break the tie for me.
Yeah, I also went with Ryan here, which I was actually surprised because I was with Josh, I think, for the like the full 3 minutes on each side, but it was the open debate that I think Ryan came back and started actually talking about Mank a lot more, and why he thought that was deserving for the, I think, one award that won. And I think he really nailed a lot of the other performances that should have won over Francis McDormand, who's already won before, and he said that, and he was talking about how it feels more like another like legacy kind of award. And Josh did a pretty good job trying to come back at that. I think it was just slightly a little stacked in Ryan's favor, but it was very, very close. This was a good round.
All right, a good close round. That's what we like. All right, thank you very much, judges. We'll drop you to the back, and we'll see you again soon. All right, let's bring back our competitors. And we will move to question number 2 in this battle of Titans. Question number 2 is, what is the worst leading voice performance in an animated film? What is the worst leading voice performance in an animated film? Joshua, you will be going first in this question. So let me put the clock back up. And you, sir, will have 1 minute on your mark.
All right. So when we think of animated films, you usually think of legendary, and I mean legendary performances such as Jeremy Irons as Scar or James Earl Jones as Mufasa. You could have Jack Black as Poe, Dustin Hoffman as Shifu. There's just so many. I mean, even Jay Baruchel is Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon. There's so many you can just rattle off. But then you have those that are really just, it's like, why? Why would you do this? And I chose Alec Baldwin for Boss Baby, because why? There was nothing memorable, honestly, about his performance. I mean, we all know how smug he is. I understand that he was able to, put some smugness inside of a baby, which is supposed to be funny, but I barely laughed myself. But I believe that there are so many other films that have showcased, animated films that have showcased true talent and being able to create legitimately memorable characters through their voices alone. And I just do not believe that Alec Baldwin was one of them. I end my time.
All right. With 1 second to go there, let me reset it. All right. So the Boss Baby didn't do it for Joshua.
No.
Let's see who Ryan selected in question number 2 when you take it away.
When it comes to voice acting in a film, more than just wanting to bring life to a character, when you give voice to a character, it needs to be more of that you embody them fully, that they not own that there are going to be moments where you confuse whether or not who this actor is that's playing the character, or if it's a character vice versa. The person I thought that did the worst was Ed Helms in The Lorax. Given that this film was by Illumination during their early time with the Dr. Seuss animated films, Ed Helms, unfortunately, as the One Slayer, gave me no. I really didn't feel as if this was a man who understood the mistakes of his past, that created a present that destroyed every living tree in his home vicinity. And he just didn't seem to me as if for somebody who not only understood his mistakes, but was just it felt to me like he was trying to bring Andy into the Lorax, which honestly threw me off personally, but I will get more into that later.
All right, fair enough. So, good start there for both. Let me get this set to 2 minutes. I'm getting faster. All right, so 2 minutes on the clock. Back to Joshua to set up your debate whenever you start talking.
So, understand this. When people think of the Lorax, they really think about the messages of the movie. And granted, it's forgettable. Not the message. The movie itself is forgettable. But and Ed Helms did, his performance just not great. And I just think that Alec Baldwin was just slightly worse. I mean, no one ever really talks about the Boss Baby. If you're going to have an animated movie with a star power such as Alec Baldwin, you would expect people to talk about it a little bit more, hopefully in a positive light. But that does not seem to be the case. At least the Lorax can get away with being talked about for its environmental causes and why it's important. Deforestation is a problem in society, and it truly is. But that's what people seem to talk about more. That keeps the movie alive. The performances, not so much. But Boss Baby overall, like the movie, the voice performance is everything. It's gone. No one discusses it at all. That's why I believe it's so bad. When you talk about films like Mulan, who do you think of? You think of Eddie Murphy as freaking Mushu. When you talk about Shrek, you think about Mike Myers. You got Cameron Diaz, John Lithgow. You got all these people, all this star power that can add to a movie and add to its legacy and continue it going forward, that people continue to talk about positively and also enjoy thematically. But Alec Baldwin was not one of those individuals. He does not live in the upper echelon of voice actors, and it just doesn't work out. So I end my time there. Yeah, no.
All right. He gives up the rest of that time. So we'll go to Ryan for your 2-minute solo pitch whenever you start talking.
Now, as I do mention, when it comes to the Lorax, yes, it is mostly recognized for the messages that the book and even the old animated home cassette video cartoon was able to portray. With the Lorax and of course with the Illumination one, it just doesn't portray the message very well because it's trying to do a thing where it's having its cake and eating it too, which is why I think Ed's character just didn't work. Because Ed's character, from the moment you meet him, the Onceler is meant to be this old man who is haunted by his mistakes. Instead, when the moment you hear Ed talk, Ed doesn't capture that as the character of the Onceler. It only matches because it feels to me Ed was given the script of a character, play it how it is, don't create a character, just use your voice. This is kind of like studios using star power in the wrong way. Not to confuse it with Alec Baldwin in The Boss Baby, though, because despite people's feelings on The Boss Baby, look, I'm not a big fan of it either, but it was clear from the trailer of this movie that came out of Alec Baldwin voicing this baby, it got people's attention, especially going into this film with the character of The Boss Baby, a baby who does not want to be adopted, that does not want to be a grown-up, wants to be pretty much a boss. And Alec Baldwin, despite his character or how you think of him personally, when you hear his voice, that is someone who is commanding. That is someone who wants to get your attention. And it feels kind of funny seeing it come out of a baby. The smugness, the guy that's telling you cookies are for closers, who wants you to suck on a pacifier just so you can see Baby Co. I thought that was weirdly funny coming out of someone like Alec Baldwin. Now with Ed as the Onceler, it just more like I couldn't feel the haunt, the regrets coming from his heart when he realized that he killed every living tree just to create freaking scarves. That was just something I couldn't get out of his performance. I'm gonna stop.
All right. Sounds like a good place to stop there. We will get into our 4-minute debate, which will be between you two. Like I said in the last one, no talking over each other, but you did a good job in the last one, so keep it up. Whenever the first person starts talking.
I mean, it's kind of funny when looking at both performances. I mean, of Baldwin and of Ed Helms, because it is clear that these guys were casted for their star power. It just feels to me, personally, the reason why I think it's better in The Boss Baby is not because of Alec Baldwin's voice, but he's also supported by the animation. Because if you watch The Boss Baby, which I did three times, you do see the animation is doing its best to portray like what Alec Baldwin is trying to emote through using his voice. A baby who's mad, a baby who's arrogant, a baby who thinks he knows better than you. It's something that, while it's weird, it sticks in your brain. I think it leaves a bigger impression over what Ed Helms did as the Onceler.
I think at the same time, though, maybe Ed Helms as the Onceler was more of a miscasting, if anything. I think that with Alec Baldwin being Alec Baldwin, not saying that there's anything wrong with Ed Helms and that he does not have a good resume. He does. I just think that Alec Baldwin has such a lengthier one that you come to expect more. You know, if you're going to just give me a little bit more, Alec. I understand what the material is supposed to be, but I didn't feel as though that he truly elevated it in a way where it could have been much more memorable. Sometimes you can have actors that can actually enter into a space or enter into a film, and the writing might be garbage, but them alone just carry the movie by themselves. And I just don't think that Alec was able to do that. And because of what his resume shows, we hold him to a bit of a higher standard when it comes to certain performances in which he is to deliver.
I do think that it definitely falls on us as the audience, because I also had that same bit of expectations towards Ed Helms as well, because I've seen, well, not just from his work in The Office, but also at the time, this is around when he was like shooting the Hangover films, like because he was growing high in his comedic chops. So I was expecting a great performance out of Ed Helms. But then looking at it like with Illumination, there was a better performance coming out of Danny DeVito as the Lorax, someone who took dialogue that honestly felt very over preachy, and he made it feel human. And not to forget, and drawing back to what I said about star power, both films definitely relied on both men for star power. But with Ed Helms, though, it hurts him the worst because this Lorax also has Taylor Swift and Zac Efron during the 2012 when they were in their height of their star power. Before Zac Efron turned things around with Neighbors, he was still seen as Troy from High School Musical, while with The Boss Baby, it's just Alec Baldwin. So it's really him carrying the film, and it might distract from other people, but it does remind people like his name is there to get butts in the seats.
True. I mean, you've even got, look, you got Tobey Maguire in The Boss Baby. You had Steve Buscemi also in The Boss Baby. Two, prominent names that could also play a role. But you've got Alec Baldwin leading the front. I think that also in that same case, that was a miscasting. I think that there were maybe John Hamm could have been a better Boss Baby. Honestly, I mean, they kind of had similar voices. I just think I would have bought the Boss Baby a little bit more if, like, let's see, like, put somebody else in the role. I just don't think that Alec was able to truly, with all the expectations that we have, I just do not think that Alec was able to elevate himself fully. And now it's just kind of like, all right, yeah, that was The Boss Baby. But is anybody talking about it any further?
They did make a sequel of The Boss Baby, so
they did.
It was obvious that there was appeal there, and I'm not saying that it was the right choice, but I will say there is at least one moment in the first Boss Baby film that I thought was good, where Alec Baldwin's baby and the boy realize that they do need each other in each other's lives, where his character makes the choice to want to be born as a child. I mean, didn't need a sequel, but it does seem that
Illumination did make more Dr. Seuss films, though, so there is that too.
Time. All right. Good open debate there. We will go to our. We will go to our 60-second closings. And so let me get that pulled up. And so, Joshua, you started this round, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you will be the first one to do your closing, and you can begin when you're ready.
All right. So, like I said, when it comes down to actors that you've come to know that have built and cultivated just empires of wonderful roles that they have, taken on and left straight up legacies in, right? You expect a bit more from craft with future projects. And I guess sometimes, they get a little burnt out, you get lazy and you don't want to really, put your all into it. And I just didn't feel as though that Alec really bought his material. I mean, with Ed Helms, yeah, it was early on in his rise to power for sure, but I think that there's something to be spoken for when you have someone who's much more mature in the profession versus someone who is younger. All right, those mistakes may happen slightly early and you may not give it your best, but you have another shot at least. But then with people who are later on are trying their best for certain things, that could literally be the detriment of any future roles in the future. And, not that it knocked Alec off in any way. I just think that that performance just did not really resonate too well with audiences. And while granted, it did get a sequel, it's not really something that people talk about when they talk about the greatest animated voice performances.
And time. All right. Right on time. So we'll move over to Ryan for his 1 minute closing when you're ready, sir.
I just want to reiterate the one thing that, at least as an audience member for me, when it comes to animated voice acting and animated characters, is that I really want to feel that the person voicing this character is really doing their best to give life to this character. Rather, there's someone with big star power or they're just a common voice actor. And it just feels to me that Ed Helms just really wasn't giving his all in this. It did feel one note as somebody who is the present of an old man Onceler, and his voice just feels as if this is just a 20-year-old Onceler of the past, just refusing to grow up. Honestly, I don't feel, as I've mentioned, when he first meets Zac Efron's character, I don't hear a voice of somebody who goes, I made a huge mistake. I let my greed take over me, and now I'm paying for it, and so are you, and you're paying for it. I did not get that from him. It's just more of I made a mistake. Someone fix it for me, and that's what this movie did. It just pretty much tries to redeem the Oncer when he should not have been redeemable.
And time. All right. Great job, guys. Going to drop you to the back and bring in your judges. I think I'd put Ryan right back in. All right.
Take myself out.
Oh, I did. Sorry about that, Ryan. And Chad. All right. Let's take out the timer. All right. So we have our judges here. Chad is in 2 dimensions. That is awesome. So we're going to start with Nick on question number 2. So who did you vote for and why?
Another pretty tough fight. They kind of went back and forth, and I ultimately I heard enough, just a little bit more from Ryan as far as like what the part called for with Ed Helms and how he didn't really rise to the occasion in order to show like what he can actually do as an actor. And while Alec Baldwin was in The Boss Baby, and it's not a particularly great film, it still is like one of the most memorable things about those movies, which is why you get a sequel later. So that's why I decided to go with Ryan.
All right. Fair enough. Carrie, who did you vote for and why?
I also went with Ryan. Again, this was super close. Both had really great arguments, both Josh and Ryan. I just went with Ryan a little bit over because I just got a little bit more from Ryan about why Ed Helms's performance specifically was bad for that character. And, I think Josh's argument was a little bit more general about how Alec Baldwin just didn't put his all into this character. But both really great arguments here.
All right. So with that, Ryan wins round number 2. Thank you, judges. I'm going to take you out and bring our competitors back in. All right. So after the judging, our new score is Ryan 2, Joshua 0, but still have some questions to go. So we'll be moving into question number 3. This is a knockout situation, so Joshua, you will want to definitely win this question. And this is my favorite question. I can say that now, I guess, since I'm only hosting.
This is the coming for blood question, honestly.
This is a great question. And I hope you guys can get as much in as possible with the time given. But since we know it, let's go ahead and tell everybody else. The question is, what group of characters would make up your ideal Justice League for the new DCU? And that's qualified by Aaron as 5 to 8 members. So you guys were given apparently a list. And the order that you'll see them in is, I think, kind of is made in a way to isolate the ones that are the same on both lists. I just want to say that for the judges' sake and also the folks at home. But anyway, What group of characters would make up your ideal Justice League for the new DCU? This one, Ryan, you're going to start. Let me put that in the ticker. And I have. There we go. Stop that.
Okay.
All right, there we go. All right, so Ryan, your time will start when you begin speaking, sir.
Now, regardless on how James Gunn is going to set up the DCU on how this Justice League is going to be introduced, for me, I want my ideal Justice League. This is a group of people who are already established. They already exist in the universe, but these are the core members who are going to make up the Justice League right now in this day and age. And so my picks for this Justice League are Wonder Woman, Wally West as the Flash, Hal Jordan as Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, Green Arrow, and Zatanna. I picked all 8 of them. While they may be similar in certain aspects, but they are representatives, and they all bring something unique to the table. With Wally West's Flash, he is more of a legacy character because in this version, Barry Allen did exist, but he didn't join the Justice League. He decided to be his own hero. So Wally West decides to set himself differently by becoming Flash here. And having Green Arrow on this team, he is somebody who is trying to keep the group grounded. And I'll explain more in my pitch. I'm going to stop here.
All right. There we go. We'll reset the time there. And Joshua, your time will start when you begin talking, sir.
All right. So, as we all know, James Gunn is doing a new DCU. And if you have to have a new DCU, you obviously need your Justice League. And the team that I decided to bring together consisted of Wonder Woman, Barry Allen Flash, John Stewart as Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Superman, Batman, and Aquaman. That is your core right there. It's a powerhouse team. Honestly, quite formidable. I think that the benefits of having more of these characters in there is that you get some of those characters that you already know that have been established, and also some that we haven't seen before, considering like John Stewart's Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter, for example. And I truly believe that this team would be the one that would put everybody in their seats in the theaters for sure. Time.
All right. Time indeed. Let's go and change this to your 2-minute. So let me. All right. So 2 minutes will be on the clock. And Ryan, you can start whenever you are ready, sir.
Now, obviously, I am going to continue more with my team. I did say in my opening that Wally West's Flash, he's going to be a legacy character who joins the team because not only is he trying to prove himself as a Flash, he wants to prove himself as a hero. Having Green Arrow on the team, he is someone who is this Green Arrow is someone who is more more common sense. He is someone to make sure the group stays straight through and honest. Kind of tied to how his character was with the Kevin Smith run, to where even though he has all of his jokes and he's a jokey guy, but he's someone who has a moral conscience to make sure the Justice League never falls away from the path and their mission. I added Zatanna as not as a wild card, but as someone who understands magic, which is something in no matter any version of the Justice League that exists, we never have someone who truly understands the magic realm. Now, of course, in the comics there's Justice League Dark, but Zatanna, she's going to be the representative of magic to give the group some more information to be as a well-balanced aid. Because I want this group to be not only of a family unit, but of a group of friends that trust each other, which is why in my group, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, and Hal Jordan Green Lantern, they are the 3 leads. They are the ones who will captain and lead the team through harrowing situations, whether if it's outer space, or if it's on Earth, or if it's in different realms or in different areas. And going on through with this team, the reason why I said this is the core group now is because in this moment, I just didn't want to have Superman, Batman, or Barry Allen Flash because not only wanted something different, but I wanted to bring in individuals that I knew James Gunn as a director can find human moments out of all of them and find ways to make them all work together. While if it's Wonder Woman as an Amazonian paired with Martian Manhunter, who both feel isolated, but they can find unity on how they're strong and they can see the bigger picture. Well, with Wally West and Hal, who joke a lot. I'm gonna stop here.
All right, that is the time. So going to Joshua, your 2-minute plot summary. Whenever you're ready, you may begin talking, sir.
All right. So the reason that I selected the team that I selected, I wanted to blend a lot of the established names with some newer ones because why not? I just think that this is your core. I think that if you really want to jump into the Justice League, you want to just jump in, no holds barred. This is the team. This is where they are. This is where they've been. This is what they've experienced in maybe these last couple of years or so. Fine. I believe that Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman will get people, or Wonder Woman or something, people will be there. I think with the addition of Jon Stewart, you add in a lot more because now you're appealing to another demographic. And then at the same time, when you have Barry Allen Flash, we all know who that Barry Allen is. And then maybe later on, after maybe Flash is running so fast, he runs himself out of existence. Then you could add in Wally West eventually at some point. But I think that we need to establish and have Barry Allen first as his mentor in a way before you could actually just have Wally West on a team with these other giants here. Martian Manhunter, we haven't seen. We need to understand how Mars works and why haven't we seen this man? The guy's a shapeshifter, okay? He can literally just pop up and it's like, oh, geez, where this guy come from, okay? I mean, he could be literally like their vision, essentially. And then you've got Aquaman, all right? The guy controls all the oceans. I mean, what? Come on, this list is stacked right here. You're not beating that list. I'm sorry, you're just not. That's just me. I think that list alone, the list that I've come up with, will put the people in their seats. They will pay top dollar to see these kinds of characters on screen, kick ass everywhere, and take names with no holds barred. And my time is ended.
All right, giving up those last 5 seconds. Joshua's excitement makes me excited. So we will move to our 4-minute debate. And you guys know how this works by now. So whenever you are ready, the first person who speaks will start the time.
Look, I am taking nothing away from your team. Look, if I were to see this team on the big screen, obviously I would love to want to see this. But at this point, when it comes with creating comic book movies, James Gunn has proved that sometimes you don't need to have the most powerful lineup in order to get people to root for a team. He has proved that endlessly with Guardians, and even with the Suicide Squad. He did one of the greatest bait and switch in the first opening 10 minutes of the film that gave us a huge, powerful lineup, then relegated down to focusing on a character-driven story among 5 to 6 people. So one thing I do know that he can do is take the lineup I have here and really find something that can connect each of them, even if they're not a well-connected unit when it comes with handling otherworldly situations. But when it comes to them as a team, I think that's where James Gunn can shine.
I do agree with that. I do believe that James Gunn he's proven that time and time again. I also think that if you have a team like this, it could also open up possibilities for your story. Maybe the team isn't fully formed yet. Maybe you have a small unit of members, and then you've got individuals that are off doing their own thing, but have to come together at some point in time because of this one threat that they're facing against. Maybe that just sounds like copy and paste Avengers. I don't know. You tell me. But I just think that it could all work out. And maybe they don't all have to stick together the entire time. It could be something where one is just like, hey, I'm here to help you out for this one time, and then he dips off. And maybe that could not be the fight. And maybe that's not the final team. But at least you have these characters that could draw folks in. You see them in trailer. Look, trailers are made to make you want to go see the movie. You can do whatever kind of effects that you want with these characters alone and have people like, oh, definitely want to see that. But then when the movie takes place, it's like, oh, well, shoot. But you already had your goal. You drew people in already. You're getting those box office dollars in just with these names alone. And I think that, while I understand and respect that James Gunn focuses on character first, as you should, as you absolutely should. I do.
Which is important. It is.
It is highly important. I just also think that WB is also also of the mindset of, well, we need to figure out who we can get, how we can get people in these seats. And I think that these names alone would definitely do it. Batman might be a bit of a challenge, considering you might have like 5 of them running around by the time you get to a Justice League movie at this point.
That is true, which is one of the reasons why I didn't want to include Batman on mine. And the same for Superman, because at this point, we've seen too many times of Warner Bros. Dropping the ball with both characters. Either they succeed or they don't. But it's clear that those two are kind of like the hot button one, which is why I decided for Green Arrow and Martian Man, Green Arrow and Zatanna and Cyborg to be the additional ones, because they can be either the new blood to be the audience's perspective to understanding the Justice League in this film. And I'm kind of jumping off a lot, assuming James Gunn will direct this one, but at least, but even then, with this 8 group, you can, with these 8 individuals, you can still see that these are people who can not only handle themselves under pressure, but maybe learn how to work cohesively in a team, even if it's just a 3-man group or if it's 8.
And that's why I think it works. You have these people with these different ideologies. Maybe they have to come together with a summit meeting and talk about, well, whatever threat is looming or something. And then you have all these different ideas and they clash. And then, some people, they want to stick around and others, they just break apart. But at the end of the day, they realize that they're there for one thing: to save you, Ryan, to save me. Okay, you're falling off a building. Who do you want to catch you in mid-flight? Martian Manhunter appears out of nowhere. Boom, he's got you. Or hands you off to Batman. He's just signed your autograph after he punches you in the face a few times. Because why not? Because he's Batman. That's exactly why. And I think
I can see the same thing with Zatanna using her magic to create something to catch me out of the air, or having Wally West just run and just get and rush me down to the ground with my hair blown out like this, going, what the hell?
And that may be possible, but at the same time, Batman probably knows quite a bit about magic.
Time. All right. Great argument there, guys. We're going to go to your closing 1 minute, and we will start with Ryan. So whenever you are ready, sir, just begin speaking.
Pushing everything aside, my assumption if James Gunn is going to direct this film or not, or if this film's going to be one whole movie, or if it's going to be a 2-parter, the core group of characters I have here, I wanted them to be representatives, because that not only do they have certain different ideologies, but in a movie where you're going to want characters to cooperate and teams to work, there will be some moments in the film where you're not going to need those action set pieces, to where you're going to need characters sitting down and really discussing amongst each other what their ideal sense of justice is. Whether if it's Wonder Woman who believes it's death by the sword, or if it's Hal Jordan as a space cop believing you need to hold them together by the laws written of their planet. It is something that should bring everything together to where you can have some friendly sparring, not to where it's heated debated arguments like we saw with the Avengers. We needed to bring something different to the table. And I do believe that this lineup here not only brings different representatives, different ideologies, but also, once again, a story here that can maybe lead to more opportunities to see all 8 of these individuals.
Time. All right. And we'll flip over to Joshua. Your 1 minute closing when you begin, sir.
I think that these characters, the amount that I have, it's not too much to juggle. I mean, we see it in The Boys with the Dawn of the Seven. We know who the 7 are, right? And I think that with these characters, given the right amount of screen time, James Gunn can easily, very, very easily develop all of them in their own rights. And I just truly believe that maybe studio execs are just thinking, not that I'm really a fan of the execs. I'm not. I truly am not. But I think what they're thinking is, what names are going to put the people in the seats. And if we put out a trailer where there is none of these other characters, where we don't have a Superman or a Batman or a Martian Manhunter, if you will, if people are seeing Green Arrow before they're seeing Superman, somebody might say, well, what's wrong with you? Like, well, why are we doing this? And you don't have all the other core characters. You want to be able to encapsulate and capture so many people from so many different bases. And the first thing that you have to realize is name recognition alone. And people recognize names. Not as many people in this space are as involved as we are, so we know a bit more, but that's the deal.
All right. Time. All right. Great job, guys. We'll strap you to the back, and we'll bring the judges out. All right. Let's bring out Nick, Carrie, and Chad. And I went out of order last time, guys. That was my fault. But oops, sorry, Carrie. But we will go. We'll start with Chad this time. Chad, who won this round for you and why?
Yeah, it was definitely a very tight round. I mean, they had some of the same characters like on both sides, so it was kind of like talking about the differences a little bit. And honestly, I think I went with Joshua here, and the reason why is because I think he's I don't know, I don't want to say sadly right, but it's like he is right in the fact that you need to get people to go to the theater and actually see these movies. And I don't think that maybe necessarily doing something different like right out of the gate is going to get people there. So I think Joshua was like right on the money with that. I think like when he said that you bring in Barry Allen first, have him mentor Wally West, and then you can bring in those other characters that people know a little bit lesser after you get that foundation. Then you can bring in other people and actually like introduce like new stuff that people haven't seen. So that really worked for me with Josh. Although it was still a very close round, very very good even debate here.
Very nice. Couldn't agree more. Since I started with Carrie in round number 1, I'm going to go to her next. So, Carrie, who wins this round for you and why?
Oh my God, every time. I'm so sorry. I also said Joshua. Again, really close, but I agree with what Chad said. Honestly, I think Josh just had the stronger point about the team that he put together, bringing in the box office dollars, which is important. Although both great teams, I honestly would love to see either of these Justice League teams in the theaters. I think Josh just had a little bit of a stronger argument.
All right, very nice. Thank you very much, guys. Going to drop you to the back, bring back my competitors. All right, Josh, you did enough to survive to live to fight another day, as they say. So here we go. Now the ticker's right. Ryan has 2 rounds. Josh with 1. So we will go to question number 4, and it's a good one. Pretty simple. What is the best film set in the City of Lights, City of Las Vegas? So we will start. I think Joshua, you'll kick this one off.
Yep.
All right, and so you'll have your 1 minute. Let me put that back up. All right, and your 1 minute opening begins when you start talking.
All right. When we think of Vegas, ladies and gentlemen, what do we think about? There's a lot. There's food, there's lights, there's Mary Jane, there's alcohol, there's women. It's just sinful. It's Sin City for a reason. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something, okay? One of the best people, well, not the best people. Let me backtrack just a little bit. I think one of the best movies to showcase the sins of the city of Las Vegas is Casino. When you have the mafia that's pretty much running literally everything. You got Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Scorsese all teaming up together with this one epic film. It's absolutely fantastic. Some call it better than Goodfellas. I may not lean so much in that direction, but I would say that they truly capture and understand what it means to be in Vegas at that time. And having the mafia involved, puppeteering literally everything, and all this fast money and the gambling and all the flashing and the luxury. This is what Vegas is. Time.
And on the money, speaking of. All right, we'll move over to Mr. Payne, and you can take it away for your 1 minute opening when you are ready, sir.
Throughout our generation, when it comes to Vegas, despite all of its grandeur and the flashiness and the lights, there is always one phrase that associates when it comes to this city. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That is a line that everyone uses to describe their experience in Vegas, because when you're here, you don't talk about what happened here. And this movie pretty much sums up that whole phrase and encapsulates it, which is The Hangover. The film that really showed us why you don't talk about what happens in Vegas. Because here in Vegas, you might do the dumbest things possible and you'll have to suffer the consequences while you are there in Vegas. But the moment you leave Vegas, all those troubles are behind you. Whether you stole a tiger from Mike Tyson, you got locked on the top of a hotel roof and you were there for hours where you're sunburned to the point where you need to be taken to the hospital, or you had to relive some glory day moments where you may have gotten you had a one night stand with a hooker. Who knows? That's what The Hangover is.
Time. All right. Sounds like some fun times in Vegas. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock. And going back to Joshua, you can set up your 2 minute plot argument whenever you are ready, sir.
So, hear me out, okay? Just hear me out, guys. Understand, the luxury of Vegas, Scorsese captured. We all know Scorsese for his New York crime films. He's got one in Boston where people seem to have departed from that place. And, take a trip back in time to 1995 at Casino, right? And when you bring back the star power of Joe Pesci and De Niro, they just elevate literally everything. I mean, if they were the ones who were running Vegas, I would want to go. Granted, if I talked about it, they'd probably make me disappear or trap me somewhere in a garage and beat me with baseball bats. I don't know. It's possible. But I just believe that because of the era and, mafia films, it's just Scorsese, he does them so greatly. And with Vegas alone as the backdrop this time, as opposed to New York, you can deal with a little bit more, it's not so gritty, but it's much more glitz and glamour and all in your face. And it's showing you all these jewels, like the keys to the kingdom. And who are the ones that are holding those keys to the kingdom? It just happens to be the mafia. And I think that Scorsese just captured all that well. I think Pesci and De Niro, like I said, they just phenomenal. And as far as being set in Vegas, like they just, what more can I say? They're just phenomenal. That is what I have to say about it. I love it. Love Casino. I end my time there. Yeah.
All right. Going to give up the rest of that time there. We'll reset it for 2 minutes. And Ryan, your 2 minutes when you are ready.
One thing I said before, one thing that Vegas is much more commonly known now is the stories that you don't talk about when you are there, and I say it encapsulates it very well in The Hangover, because in the opening, before our gentleman gets it starts off with a bit of a little bit of a time loop situation, but in narrative wise in the story, these four guys are going to Vegas. They know all about the glitz and the glamour of Vegas, and the father-in-law tells Justin's character, "Don't worry, Vegas. That's it. That's all that needs to be said about whatever you're going to do there. You don't need to tell me anything. I get it." And then once you get to the night after they're partying, The Hangover, it is pretty much, this whole film is played from the everyday person, the common people who don't always gets to experience the glitz and glamour, at least the night after. It is showing you, okay, we had ourselves a crazy night last night, but instead of these guys just going home and then maybe talking amongst themselves, they have to unfortunately stew in it throughout the day, because they lost the groomsmen for a wedding night, and so they have to retrace their steps. And one thing why this also encapsulates Vegas is that it is going outside of the casinos and the hotels. It is going amongst the other streets. They go to schools. They go to the hospitals. They get arrested. I mean, sure, it may not be glitz and glamour, but showing you the other parts of Vegas that really not every movie like Casino or that will show you, because it's from the everyday perspective of a regular person, people who actually live here, like Heather Graham's character, who is a stripper. You meet her, you see where she lives, or you go and encounter the chapels where people get married on those one night stands. This is what happens the day after people do those married, like those hitched in one night weddings. It's giving you Vegas in its unglitz and unglamory way, and it's an hilarious ride throughout the whole thing.
All right. Time. Great job. Let's cut that off. And we'll get your 4 minute debate set up. So this is your fourth round. Joshua fighting for your life, and Ryan fighting to put Joshua away. So here we go. 4 minutes when you guys start talking.
Here's what I think. While I agree that The Hangover was able to encapsulate some of those elements of, Vegas is not maybe the best place. I think Casino did it a little better because the tagline for Casino is no one stays at the top forever. You don't stay at the top forever. Why? Well, because you get seduced by a lot of what Vegas has to offer. And if you start going down in the wrong crowds with the wrong people, well, it can lead you to a dark path that you just end up falling from. They built an empire. All right, these guys, they were two former mobsters. They come to Vegas, they try to build this empire, and then one falls in love with a girl, the other one gets involved in some other crap, and then everything just falls completely apart because neither one of them had the true discipline to look out for one another at the end of it, due to Vegas being so seductive with what it has to offer.
Everything you said is definitely a great example of a good mob movie. But even then, if you take those set of circumstances and put it in a different town, hell, this could have been describing Atlantic City, which became another version of Vegas in the East Coast. If you want to talk about taglines, the tagline of the Hangover is literally "Some guys can't handle Vegas." Well, yes, Vegas, the film does a good job of deconstructing Vegas to where it's not that great, but then at the same time, it's kind of like when you go to New York City or LA. Some people just can't handle those cities. Guess what? You go to Vegas expecting to live it up and enjoy luxury. Well, guess what? Sometimes you just can't handle it, and you're just the same person coming in as you are going out. Not to say that the casino doesn't show the same way, but
I was just about to say.
The one grime I have with Casino is that the majority of the film is all surrounding a casino run by the mob. Whereas in The Hangover, it's about the town. Well, not about the town, but the town is the backdrop because you get to explore it.
Ryan, I must say this. Hear me out. Just
I'm listening.
Understand this. Look, while the movie does take place in the casino, it does also showcase that the mafia has much wider reaches in more cities than we thought. You'd think it was just New York. No, it's not just New York. You got Chicago, New Orleans, Vegas, parts of LA. There's just so much. And then Vegas just happened to be the next one that Scorsese happened to pick for. And why not? Vegas is known for its casinos. People out there, they love to gamble. They play with their money. It's what they do. But I just think that the tagline for Casino is a bit stronger in the fact that, yeah, as you said, for Hangover, it's some men can't handle Vegas, which, all right, granted, that is true. But then at the same time, you don't stay at the top forever. All right, you came into this town trying to build something amongst all of the things that are already there. You might as well just say that obviously being Sin City with all the tantalizations that it has, and then they try to take advantage of it. They think that they can get away with things for a while, but then eventually your luck runs out. Or you can gamble so much, which is why I think it took place in a casino in Vegas, because at some point your luck will run out, and then you have nothing.
And that is a great message that is throughout Casino, and they can't take that away. But another difference I see between Casino and Vegas is that Casino, not only is it set around Casino, but it's around different time periods of the main character's life. While this whole thing is all set in one day, to where you can, not everything from your movie is going to come across in The Hangover, but in The Hangover, it is playing on the modern day stereotypes of Vegas, and it's deconstructing and subverting them to where these guys thought they were just gonna have a fun, sin-free night, but instead, guess what? They're waking up with the consequences and realizing that they can't be these childish people. They have to grow up. But even then, once they do realize a lesson, they still get to go back home with some fun stories to tell, especially at the end when you have to look at that camera and realize, holy shit, look at what we just did.
Oh, my closing argument. I'll say it.
All right. We will move to closing arguments. 1 minute left for each competitor.
Oh, no. Pause. Do not scan now. Pause. Sorry, security scan.
All right. Just let me know if you're good.
Okay, no, I'm good. Yeah, I paused it.
Okay. All right. So, Joshua, you started us off, and you will start us off in closing arguments whenever you are ready, sir.
Okay. Understand this, that while, yes, in your movie, the guys were able to get away, Casino was able to showcase that you're not always able to flee from your sins. You're not always able to just get away from those things that you were tantalized and tempted by, resulting in you being killed. And not saying that you can go to Vegas now and you'll just be slaughtered. No, I'm not saying that at all. But it goes to show that these two movies obviously reflect different things about Vegas, but still at the same time, they very much show the same thing. Wow, but this was just in a much darker tone, in a much more gritty way. And we stylize it with that luxury, with that mafia swag behind it. It's like, okay, this is a poppin' movie. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, when you realize what happens when you go to Vegas, or things that could take place when you're in Vegas, maybe the ending isn't always happy. You don't always get away.
All right, perfect timing. And we'll switch to Ryan. 1 minute when you start talking.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Some men can't handle Vegas, or simply just Vegas. Yeah, this film may end on a note to where these guys may have gotten away with a few things, but as I've mentioned and reiterated a bunch of times, that this film, the majority of it, is all focused on the consequences of their actions while they are stuck in this town. And yeah, it is done in a lighter tone. Zach Galifianakis is a very aloof and goofy character, but it's not to underlay the point that these men did some crazy stuff, stealing a tiger from a celebrity, having a baby with them who they didn't know who belonged to, seeing who they believed was their friend get kidnapped by a gang member. And while all this tied itself into a bow, and while it ended in a way like you expect most comedies to, but while you were watching this, when Bradley Cooper makes that phone call to the bride, realizing that they lost her husband, this movie really could have ended on a dark note. But yes, it still ended the way where they got away with it. But it still focuses so much on you will suffer consequences if you're trying to.
And time. All right, that ends it. We're going to take you guys out. Bring in the judges. All right, and welcome back, judges. Remove that. Okay, so Chad started us off last time, right?
Yes.
All right, so Carrie, start us off. Who won this last round of the match, possibly fourth round, for you, and why?
Okay.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah. Again, this was tough. These competitors are really evenly matched. I went with Ryan, surprisingly. I personally agree with Josh, but I think Ryan just had a little bit of a better argument. I think his argument in particular about how much The Hangover showcases Vegas as a city, whereas Casino maybe could be cut and pasted in a different town. I think that those arguments hit really well, and I didn't hear, I guess, enough from Josh to refute those.
All right, fair enough. So Ryan with 1 point. Nick, who wins this round for you, and why?
So yeah, this was another tough one. It kind of was going back and forth for me. Ryan was had it for a really long time, but I really did like Josh's closer and his point about why it is set in a casino, how that is the lifeblood of Vegas, and how it's got a much darker tone, so it can really show the consequences of what happens in Vegas in a much more realistic way, in a dark and gritty way. So I went with Josh.
All right, very good points. So we have a tie. Chad, break it for us.
Yeah, as much as I would love to see this go to a blind round with these two, because they're so good at debating each other, I went with Ryan also. And I swear to God, Carrie and I didn't discuss this or anything, but I did agree with her quite a bit. But also, it's just it's the fact that you can maybe copy and paste it into another city, like Ryan said. I just think he like really also just like sold the idea of they go to like so many places in this town, whereas Casino, it's not like 100% in Casino, but it does mostly take place in a casino. That's what it's about, and it's really like the question was like, it's set in Las Vegas, but I took it as the film that like represents like Las Vegas. And I think Ryan really sold that, and I swear that's not a huge baby bottle. It's just all perspective over there. But yeah, great debate between the others. It's hard to take down a movie like Casino, but I think Ryan did a really good job at saying it's more of a great mob movie that could be set anywhere rather than a great Las Vegas film.
All right. I'm going to drop everybody out. And with that, your winner, Ryan Caramel Mountain Payne. Great job, guys. A hell of a battle. Ryan wins a total of 3 questions to Josh's 1. Josh with that excellent DCU question win. Let's bring in Ryan first and talk to him. How are you feeling after that battle?
Despite the fact that my AC just doesn't work in here, I'm feeling very winded. I mean seeing these questions, and I knew this was going to be a tough match. I mean, every match I go against someone is going to be a tough one. But the moment I saw Josh's lineup of the questions he had, it honestly felt like I had to start throwing body jabs or high or crosses every time I started speaking. Otherwise, it's like it's not like if I let go. I just learned from my previous matches. The more I start to prone on, the more I leave an opening for an attempt for my debate partners to start finding weaknesses in my arguments. So I figure if I try to keep things like a little condensed and straight to the point, hopefully it's just more of, I try to find things where we argue point on point on point on point instead of trying to drag off the argument into something else. And I think it served me. It served me here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you came up big in a lot of big points of debate, that I heard from the judges. And I am super happy, I will say to anybody out there, that I didn't have to do both hosting and judging, because keeping up with these guys would have been super tough. They were both excellent. But going past that, this brings your record to a positive record, and you earn a place in our Movie Battleground 2023 tournament. I got to ask you formally, are you interested in taking that spot?
I mean, I know, despite still not being very well with this new format, but I'm getting more, I'm acclimating more to this. And you know what better way to really keep testing myself, to keep, really stepping up, I'm going to take that tournament slot. I mean, I could do the whole thing, like wait 2 or 3 months, or maybe near the end of the year for another debate opportunity, and just let my mind just start to corrode even more. But I'm like, no, let's keep myself sharp. So I'll take that tournament slot.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you in the tournament for sure. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we talk to your competitor for the night?
I'm just going to say, I've been in Josh's position before with a loss. I know what it's like to go over your head on what you said, but believe me, he kept me on my goddamn toes. I was trying to take so many notes on here that I just realized, okay, focus less on this and listen to what he is saying. Because literally, he brought the point after the opening in his solo round. He brought the point to where I'm like, this guy's gonna murder me in the debate round. I need to stop taking notes and start engaging. So,
right.
Man, I honestly thought this match was gonna be much, much more closer. I really thought it was going to be to where I was going to have to fight back in the last two questions. So I was amazed on how this went.
Well, it was a close one still, all the way down to the last question, the last judge of the last question. So you pulled it out by the skin of your teeth. Great job. Looking forward to seeing you in the tournament, and we'll see you
Thank
then.
you.
All right. And let's talk to Josh. Tough loss for the night. I feel like you were just right there on every question. Every set of judges had you in there. How are you feeling after a loss like this?
I feel as though the All-Father won't welcome me back into Asgard. I'm upset. I've fallen. I've failed. Bringing victory home to the people that I love most. But alas, this is not the end of my fight. I will continue to fight on. This match was very close, and I thought that I had Ryan. I thought that I could just take Stormbreaker, and I could just levy it right over his skull, and yet it did not work. The man snapped his fingers because I was too cocky. It was nuts. I flew too close to the sun, and I've fallen. And now, it is time for me to rise again, which I shall do. These people will know that I am here to stay. This loss does not define me. It will only motivate me. The Caramel Mountain, I understand he is a revered competitor in this league, and he even said that I was able to keep him on his toes. And you know what? That is a compliment unto me and the way that I fight. And I will continue to use the way that I fight, the way that I live, the way that I throw my punches. I will continue to do that throughout this league. I will mow down everyone that I can go against. I will train harder. I will fight day and night, tooth and nail, to bring victory and a championship home to Asgard. I will. I am the Midnight Asgardian for a reason, the last son of Odin. 'Tis me.
All right, I hear you. I got nothing else to say, but hell of a performance there. I'm looking forward to seeing you more in debate. You're a hell of a debater, man.
I appreciate you, man.
I'd be scared to go up against you for sure.
Dude, it
So
was tough. It was tough. Some of the questions I was thinking, I was like, God
those were some tough questions for sure. Yes.
yeah.
And then going up against somebody like Ryan, who loves to hear himself talk. He'll admit that, I think, and B is just a natural talker. Like he can just he can talk his way around or through any kind of argument, and so that is the kind of person, like if you're testing your metal, that's the person you want to test your metal against. And you, my friend, just you went all the way to the very end. You barring taking it to the
I really
blind
wanted that
round,
one
but
round.
yeah, I know you guys
Yeah.
are ready for that blind round.
Yeah,
I was
man.
I was looking around like I got to remember how that works, but yeah, that would have been fun. But yes, great job, and we look forward to seeing who you take on next. And do you have anything else for us?
No, I just want to say congratulations to Ryan.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, like some of the questions, in my head as I was sitting back, I was like, geez, man, I kind of wish I got different ones. Like, did I read these right? Did I look at this the right way? And just Ryan was able to pinpoint, different holes in your arguments. I mean, Alec Baldwin, that was he made some very valid points. I thought that I came across a little bit more with the first one. I really tried to give that one my best, at least 1 in 3. I kind of felt like I was in a box, at least with the Alec Baldwin one, and I was hoping that I could really get something out of the one where I'm defending Casino, but alas, I did not. But that just goes to show how tough of a match it was going back and forth between us, and it was points where I'm thinking, man, I think I got that, and other points I'm just like, oh, jeez, man, they're just gonna give it to him, aren't they? Just in my head, I'm going back and forth, but at the end of it, I'm just thinking, like, just keep fighting. Don't let them see you sweat. Just keep going.
That's it, man. That's what you got to do. All right. Well, I definitely can't wait to see you in the movie Battleground again. So thank you,
Sure.
Joshua.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. So thank you again to my judges. That would be Carrie Webb, Chad Webb, and Nicholas Hernandez. I want to say congratulations again to Ryan Caramel Mountain Payne, and good luck to him in the tournament, and good luck to Joshua Diggins in his next match. Um, just want to plug our channel, TMG Entertainment and TMG Trivia. TMG Entertainment is where you'll find all of our movie Battleground matches. So check all those out. Give it a like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends about it. The more people, the merrier. And comment on our matches. I'm sure Matt and Aaron will like your comments. Um, and just thank you for checking this out. And I think that's it. Aaron wants me to let you know, tune in next week as Friday begins the 2023 movie Battleground tournament. So that actually, it's about to begin uploading already. So Ryan, you better get to studying, my friend. So I'm going to sign off for the night and go get something to eat. But hell of a match. Ryan 3, Joshua 1. I was your host, Kevin Philosopher Poss, signing off from Movie Battleground and TMG Entertainment. Peace.